Welcome everyone for today's webinar. We have actually Yilin from Peatix that is going to share with us a little bit more later today. And if you can see from the screen, we have two friends that are actually all the way from China. So we have Yasmin and Yelta. They are actually here supporting us for this Startup Grind Kuching chapter. So my name is Malcolm and I'm the chapter director for Startup Grind Kuching. All right. And just a little bit of introduction. So what Startup Grind is. So Startup Grind is actually the world's largest community for startups, founders, innovators, and creators. So we bring like-minded and yet diverse individuals together to connect, learn, teach, help, build, and belong. So basically, we are a community that welcome all of you who are from diverse community that can join us and to learn and share, and we are looking forward for more collaboration as well, that we can bring more value and more information to the local community in Kuching. So a little bit about myself. So I'm actually also the strategic manager for iCube Innovation, which is the first co-working space in Sarawak. So we run events and also run programs as well in the city. So Startup Grind is one of the programs that we are running now. So without further ado, how are you today, Yilin?
Good, I'm good. How are you? How's everyone doing?
I'm great. I'm great. So before Yilin, before I continue my questions to Yilin, for those of you who have just joined this webinar on Zoom, there are actually a few buttons on top that you might want to find it. You might want to use it as well. So we have a chat button that you can actually write down any kind of greetings to your friends or to us. You can use that chat button. If you have any further questions to ask about any of the topics that Yilin is sharing today, there is a Q&A button. Feel free to click on that button and write down your questions along the way when Yilin is sharing running her website workshop today. Sorry, yeah. So yes, so Yilin, where are you based now?
I'm currently based in Singapore, with Peatix Singapore.
Okay, so everything okay in Singapore with the current pandemic?
I think it's very controlled over here. So everybody is still out there. Compared to Malaysia's MCO, you have curfews and all that, right? But here it's a bit more linear compared to Malaysia. But yes.
But currently we are on a CMCO, like conditional movement control order. So
Yeah.
it was just was started like yesterday or Monday until the 9th of June, and we will see how it goes again.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you again for taking your time off to join us on this session. And can you share with us a little bit about who you are, about like what's your background before you joined this company?
Sure. So I'm Yilin. Again, I'm the business development manager of Peatix right now. So Peatix, a little bit about Peatix. Peatix is an event discovery platform and also a ticketing platform designed for organizers to grow their communities through events. And what I do is that I'm responsible for driving growth of Peatix in Asia. Um, More of to empower independent event organizers in creating unique experiences. I also work to increase the adoption of Peatix by cultivating vibrant Peatix communities in tech, art, music, and lifestyle. So before this, I used to do a little bit more of community management in Malaysia. So I was based in KL. I'm originally from Penang, and I was I was based in KL before this for the past 3 years, or more than that actually. For Peatix is about 3 years, and now I moved to Singapore, the Asia team here, doing more of operations and monetization. So that is what I'm currently doing. So before being with Peatix, I was actually doing Android app development in an agency. I studied in a tech bachelor degree in multimedia technologies actually. And how I got to know about Peatix is actually from a friend. And actually, I didn't really like doing creating applications. Why I went into app development is because I stumbled upon my first event, in a way tech event or startup event called Global Startup Youth in 2013. I went because it was open to people and it was a full trip to KL. So I was studying in Labuan at that time and I wanted a free trip and free holiday actually to KL. So I was like, okay, just try applying for this event. And when I went, I had no expectations. And I was excited because Barack Obama was supposed to come that time. But actually, the event opened my eyes to how the importance of community and being involved in, um, especially how technology can solve problems and can change a lot of things. I used to always think about problems as, oh, problems, and I complain. But I went to that global startup use very much like a startup weekend, and people were thinking of problems and using technology to solve it. And simple problems can be solved by technology, and not just me sitting down and complain. And that was how I wanted to do app development. And when I was doing app development, like I said earlier, I didn't really like it at first. I wanted to go in because I wanted to use technology to make a difference. And after that, I realized, hey, actually, I want to make a difference, not just behind the computer, but actually out there. And my friend told me about Peatix, and I'm like, hey, imagine now you can be, your job would be among the tech community, the startup community, and you can make a difference, by using your tech knowledge. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I gave it a try, and now I'm still here enjoying it.
Wow, that's an amazing journey that you have, right? I also worked with you for a few years already. I think we get to know each other from 2016, I guess. And ever since using Peatix platform, it's a bit hard for me to move to another platform, right? I think it's very much on the what we have was the I think it's more on the on ground support, and also the not just on-ground support for the technical bit, but it's also on community building as well. Because I think in the co-working space environment and also the startup ecosystem, it's all about building a community, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think Peatix is also moving a little bit different now, moving towards a little bit more focus on community building as compared to just looking into building sales and having corporate clients, right?
So we always have believed in community. How even Peatix started was during the earthquake and tsunami in Japan, where our co-founders saw people were gathering together to find comfort to each other, of each other, and they're like, hey, we need something that get people together. And that was how they came up with Peatix, actually, very much to help communities come together. And so that's why you see the difference in like why we call ourselves a community building platform, because we have this feature called Peatix Group, because we don't believe in just selling tickets. Because if you sell a ticket, just a one-time event, that's it, it's just a one-time event. But you want to continue to grow that and build that collective, right? And so for us, not really much. We want to work more on the community side of things, the building community side of things. But for now, what we have is that once people come to your event, they'll be one of your followers in your Peatix group, and you grow that. And the next time when you publish your next event, these people get retargeted in a way and get them back to your event where you engage and build that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's very interesting to hear from Peatix in doing a very different way, right? So I think in terms of community will really there's a very big area for community builders to learn and explore a lot more in terms of what Peatix is doing as well, right? So I think Yilin, would you be? I think today what we are trying to talk about is actually more on like how to get started with running an online event with Peatix. Reason being, this topic being chosen is because of, I think, because of the whole pandemic that started or basically take place in March for Malaysia and also other parts of the world as well. So there's a lot of events, offline events, is actually being restricted, right? So I think everyone is moving online now. So are you able to share with us a little bit more about how the online event, like how can you do an event from offline to online, and what kind of tools or maybe some tips that you actually experience or experiment early on before we start this session?
Sure. So maybe I can share with you guys the slide. Good.
Yes.
Okay. So I think like you said, now going online is a new normal, even for events. Like you're like, oh, we used to gather together, right? Offline, and because you can connect with like-minded people, learn from each other. But now, how do we do that online? And like, I guess in a way, we don't have an option. We are forced to do that. Uh, so um, so that's why I'll love to share with you guys on what we have observed on the online events in Peatix, as also in the events industry or the community industry, and maybe help you guys to get started, to run on events for your businesses, run events for your communities, run events as your passion project, or anything at all. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that. Okay, so let me get started. So for us, after seeing, like, we used to focus, like Peatix itself, we used to focus a lot of offline, very much offline events, and now we, due to the pandemic, we are forced to also support, not forced, but we would love to support our organizers in enabling them to list and market their online events on Peatix as well. And with people who have limited and no experience at all, we are very happy to come on board, like platforms like Startup Grind, to share our experiences on how you can get started. So maybe I can quickly go through with you the benefits of running online. So sorry, just before we go into this, do take note that we will be sharing the slides after the session, so don't worry about like taking pictures of it or missing anything and all that. So we will definitely share that with you. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A session. All right, so very quickly going into why run online events. First, you could break geographical barriers. So before this, for offline events, there is constraint of like space constraint, just targeting your people from your own community, for example, in just Kuching or in just Sarawak. But now online, the internet, right, you can reach international people internationally. You can invite speakers and whatnot from international, and that break geographical barriers. You get to combat space constraint. Venues that can used to fit 10 people, 12 people you can now fit 100, 200. We have organizers that used to host events that is 50 packs, but now they're looking at 200 packs due to the pandemic itself. So that really helped combat space constraint. The third one would be an easier option for documentation and also content longevity. If you're running a live stream, for example, it auto converts into a video form where people can actually watch it at their couch, and eventually you can reach even more people because it's stored online. So there's options of recording of content which further can repurpose. So the fourth one would be cost saving. Now, because you can also invite people from everywhere in the world actually to share their experiences, you actually save on hosting them locally at your place itself. So that is four main things on why you should run your online events. So I will quickly go into 4 steps actually on how you can get started. First and foremost, you have to identify the type of events you want to run. So are you thinking of looking to run a public or a private invite only session, less interaction, no interaction at all, or high engagement level? Who are your demographic? With this, right, you will be able to determine on what type of event you will be running, and the type of event you want to run will inform you your platform needs. So questions to ask yourself before you start: who is your target audience? What is your main purpose? So I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your community, your upcoming event, and yes, and then next week it's for us to identify what type of event. Okay. All right. So once you identify your target audience, your purpose, is it invite only? So then you get to figure out which category your event is in. There are 4 common types of event types out there, the common ones. If you're looking for a wider audience, a webinar. Webinar is more of an invite only live session, like what is happening today, which is a live session. You can also consider pre-recorded webinar, where I can record myself and then put it out there, which is also about, you can also do like a mix, pre-recorded and live, where you have an open discussion after that. So that's 2. The other one you can also consider is live streaming in social media platforms. So live streaming is more of a public broadcast where you open up to general public, with only attendees, where there's no interaction at all. And if you're looking for if you have a smaller audience, where you want audience participation, like a workshop and also breakout sessions, you can consider meetings, where it's more of a private setting. So these are 4 common types. So after identifying which type of event you would like to organize, now you can get creative. So I'd like to share with you the ideas out there, on ideas you can try and what we've seen work out there. So like I said, 5 ways to be creative. Like on the most left, you will be able to see arts and culture, what people are doing for virtual exhibitions, right? They are using 360 videos, virtual reality, to bring their offline exhibitions online. Courses and non-profit, what they're doing is, as they are also supporting groups. They're doing support groups where they have breakout rooms, where they split people into different zones and they can travel into these different groups, like as if like a venue itself. Meetups. What we've seen is as well, you can host watch parties on Netflix Watch Party app feature, and you can do an online discussion after the watch party app. For food and drinks, wine and food tasting, you would think, how would these offline communities come online? And now what they're doing is they send wine samples delivered to attendees' doorstep, and they set a time and meet on a video conferencing app to listen to a short presentation and tasting guidance, and continue by networking while listening to music on Zoom, Skype, Messenger, or any other platform. Besides that, we have also seen online virtual music event. They live stream online jamming session. Parties and nightlife, we've seen cloud clubbing, where people actually live stream DJs, the music, like showcasing the music, and allow participation, allow attendees with costumes to come on Zoom videos while interact with DJs live. And if you're just watching from your home and not dressing up, you can watch via the view only session. And for also literature communities, what they're doing right now is collaborative writing, and also an online reading. So they have this Google Doc where people can actually write one sentence and create a poem, and or even write stories together that follow with a online reading session. For sports and wellness as well, we've seen people doing virtual marathons, using a GPS run tracker, also integrating like with Google Fit, to record mileage and run anywhere on the treadmill or outdoors separately. So maybe I can share with you actual examples out there that on Peatix itself. So this one, the first one would be Hush. Hush is actually a silent tea bar based in Singapore. It's actually a global movement to bring the world of hearing and hearing impaired together. So what they did last time was actually what they do last time, the offline event is actually bring people together from workplace and community with a cup of tea led by deaf Terista, like Tirista, barista, Tirista. So yes, and now they convert it online, and how they do it is they have Hush Plus Anywhere, where it's a safe place for communities to meet online to practice silence, self-care, empathy, and inclusion. So what they do is they have breakout rooms, rooms that consist of with intention, hush, expression, and sharing. So people will actually travel through this different room and experience the different sessions. So that's that, and how they actually sell the tickets, and also how you can use Peatix to sell the tickets is so for Hush Plus Anywhere by Hush Tiba, they use a more generosity-based give economics model. So there is no set like registration fees. Instead, they rely on generous giving of the community. So as you can see on the event page itself, right, they have implemented a contribution model during the registration and also open it up after the session. So they've clarified in the event description that the contribution will help deaf and everyday heroes prepare emotional care kits for frontline respondents. So this is how they collect contributions on Peatix. Yes. So for next would be also like earlier I said, how offline wine communities go online. So this is a live upcoming online whiskey event actually, where Seth Louis, I think if you Google on what to eat, Seth Louis is one of a food blogger. He collaborated with Glenfiddich, where they deliver whiskey and also food to people's doorstep, where they can join in a dedicated Zoom link after that. More examples, very much similar to that, send the tasting samples sent to the doorstep, which also can be used for craft making, not just wine tasting, alcohol tasting, fashion as well. For example, Fashion Revolution, they do more of a art and craft, where what they want to promote is more of a upcycling, and they send craft kits to people's house where they can jump on together with an online workshop to try out this upcycling craft. Very much similar to the format as well. So even for Nanyang Tea Challenge Digital Edition, so even for challenges like this, it used to be offline where people actually do competition of like tea and whatnot. Now they bring it online, and they also send the tea set to their house and the tea, and get them to take a video of themselves actually pouring tea and doing that, and send in for if you can see, the preliminary round will be held online, where they send in videos of them doing. And after that, the final round, the challengers will actually come on to a live stream and actually do the food pairing as well. So that's one way you can bring your challenges online. I did mention earlier about parties and nightlife communities. So Razer and Zook did an event called Cloud Clubbing. Attendees can interact with the DJs via the live stream chat, as well as sending virtual gifts with virtual credits like Razer Gold or Razer Silver for Razer. So a portion of any proceeds accumulated will be donated to the Singapore government to support the fight against COVID-19. So another example would be a gallery. So if you can see here, it's actually like a 3D 360 video where if you see here, you can actually drag and be like in a real exhibition where you can walk through and watch and look at these art pieces actually. So this is how the art people are doing. The people in the museum are taking it online. Lastly, another example would be offline hackathon to now an online hackathon. Techstars have done. They've done, the last time they did it was a month ago, if I'm not mistaken. So very interesting is that they use a platform called Remo. So there are so many interesting platforms that you can use out there to bring your offline event online. This Remo platform is actually a place where people can do virtual co-working and virtual networking. So what they did was actually make it into a mentor room session where they can come into these different rooms to actually consult with the mentors itself. So this is how you can bring your offline hackathon online. So many examples. I hope you guys are inspired to try one, or even be creative and come up with a better one or more creative ideas. So after figuring out what you want to host the idea, now you figure out how to choose the right platform. So do take note that not all online platforms are created equally and not all have the ability to host the type of event you want to run. So make sure you know exactly what limitation, functionality, support the platform offer, find out the pros and cons of each platform. Things like, for example, because now due to the situation, there are a lot of platforms that are keep on adding new features or even opening up paid features to free users. So do take note of that. So maybe we'll share with you tools comparison on the common platforms people use out there. So things to take note, I won't go into the super detail of it all, but things to take note when choosing your platform. For example, you're looking at Zoom, which is a very common tool right now. So do take note if you're using a free version. So if you're hosting, if you're using a free version and you're hosting more than 3 or more attendees, do take note that it is limited to 40 minutes, means after 40 minutes, it will be cut off. If it's only 2 people, you can use the free Zoom account. So yes, so also there are also another platform which I think all of you will be familiar with, like Google Hangouts. So Google Hangouts, there are limitations like up to 25 people only. But now do take note that is this another version of Google Hangout. I believe you have heard Google Meet before. It used to be, this is a platform. Google Meet is also a video conferencing platform, but it's mainly for people with a G Suite account. For example, for their company, they have a Gmail account, right? A Google Suite account. So now Google Meet used to be only for people with a G Suite account, but now they've opened it up for everybody to use, where you can actually host up to 250 participants in the session itself. And also things to note, like live streaming on the platform. They used to people are not able to actually live stream from Google Hangouts, but now they can, only for G Suite customers. There is free access until September 2020, where people can attend, like what is happening right now on Google Hangouts. View only live streaming attendees can go up until 100,000 people. Yes, so things to take note on these different platforms if you're looking. So these platforms out there are mainly for meetings or webinar kind of type of events, that if you want to host that, this will be suitable for you. So yes, other platforms like Skype and also Jitsi. Jitsi is also a, honestly, I'm not a big fan of it, but people are saying that it's so easy to use. So feel free to check it out. It's an open source platform that is not much limitations, but limited on, like, if you want to compare it with Zoom, there are limited controls on that. So these are these 4 common platforms that people use for video conferencing for your meetings and webinars. So going into live streaming, 2 very popular platforms out there, Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Things to take note about Facebook Live and YouTube Live is that they have, if you look at here, the number of hosts is very important. When you see somebody doing a live stream, right, usually you see, oh, some people do an interview, for example, 2 hosts, 3 hosts together on a session. If you're actually hosting from the native platform itself, you won't be able to do that. It used to, like now it's only 1 host, means you can't invite somebody from a different location to jump on board and do the live stream together. But the upcoming, the updates, the news that we have heard is that Facebook Live is actually increasing it to 2 hosts. So these are the things to take note. If you're looking for multiple hosts, broadcast media is what you should be looking at. So broadcast media is a platform where they help you to host more than 2 people to come on that call and broadcast it to the Facebook or YouTube Live, or even 2 together at the same time. So things to take note is for StreamYard, you can host up to 6 hosts, but for BeLive, you can host, for the free version is 2 hosts and the paid version is 4 hosts. So these are the main things to take note. And like for StreamYard is great because especially if you want to stream multiple platforms at once, you can do that. For the free version, you can do only a single stream, means if you want to broadcast it to Facebook, it will only be in Facebook. But if you have a paid version of it, you can actually stream to 2 or 5 platforms out there. For example, if you're doing the live stream now, you can actually broadcast it to YouTube and Facebook and actually manage everything on the platform itself. So that's for the broadcast media. So I've included more other platforms out there. I don't have the 2 comparison here in the slide, but you can go and check it out. Do make sure you check out on the pros and cons like I mentioned earlier. So for meetings and webinars, you can consider Zoom, Google Hangouts, Skype, Messenger. They are upgrading Messenger very soon on more features, which is coming. Also Amazon Chime, that used to be paid but now free. Live streaming platform, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn Live, Twitter Live. For broadcast media, there's StreamYard, BeLive, which is the ones that are easier to use. Or if you are more technical and feel like trying out open broadcast software, which is also an open source software, is also very good to use as well. So there are many platforms out there. Like I say, do make sure you try it out and see which works for you. So what I learned from my experiences from hosting, I've hosted live streams before with more than 8 people taking turns to go up on the live stream. What I learned is that taking note of like bandwidth requirements. Certain platforms out there will take up more bandwidth, means it will take up more. Also, like for example, now the Wi-Fi connection is pretty stable because we have like one-on-one session is all right, but actually when you have more people, the bandwidth actually increases depending on the platform. So take note of that. Yes, so platforms that is quite high on bandwidth, which is like Remo, Google Hangout, Meet, Skype. So yes, so these are the platforms to take note. So once you figure out your type of event and the platform you want to use. So next will be telling people about it. So maybe word of mouth, existing email database, Facebook, Instagram, or even on Peatix. So how can you actually use Peatix for your online events? So like I mentioned earlier, Peatix is a self-service event discovering platform and event ticketing platform where you can list your live stream, webinars, or any online event and tap onto Peatix event goers database. As organizers actually publish their events on Peatix, Peatix actually shares to our users with events that are considered consistent to their lifestyle based on similar past purchase behavior. So for example, people that have been to a business event before, we actually share your event to those kind of attendees. So besides marketing, Peatix is also a ticketing platform where you can sell tickets, collect RSVP, and if you are inspired to do like this now, you saw the DIY kit delivery event, Peatix allow you to set up a form to collect attendee mailing address during the ticket purchase process. So, and a little bit more is now the organizers, for Peatix itself, what we see is a surge of online events, right? So what we have done is actually we have enabled the organizers to actually label your online events as online events without a venue. And with that, right, attendees who are looking in particular for online events, they can click on the checkbox on show online events only, and they can easily filter through these results on our Peatix search. So like I mentioned earlier, just to go into it a little bit, after you publish your event, our automated recommendation email will recommend your events to a group of Peatix users with events that are consistent with the lifestyle. So this results in higher engagement as the content delivered is highly relevant. And our data has showed that 25% more ticket sales come from our free recommendation and discovery features. We have other paid services as well, just quickly to go through it. We have targeted recommendation email. So if you want to reach a bigger group of targeted audience, which I will also share with you, we have a special gift for all of you if you publish your events within this month, where you can actually entitle for a free paid recommendation email, which I can share. I will be sharing at the end of the slides. So I'll just go through this first. Featured event placement, where you can actually get slots, increase the visibility of your event by having it prominently placed on the featured section displayed on the Peatix app web browser. So this is great for organizers looking to increase visibility of their event to more than 400,000. So this is for Singapore. Yeah. So next, we also have category search placement, where you can increase the discoverability of your event by having it show up in the top 6 spots when users search for events in a specific category. So yes, just maybe you can go through on things to take note when creating an online event with Peatix. So to start publishing events on Peatix, you first need to create a group. Thing like I mentioned earlier before this, how are we different from other platforms out there, is that we believe in building communities through your events, right? So think of this as like a home base for creating your community, where all the subsequent events can be published under this group. So all attendees who purchase a ticket to your event will become followers of your group, and your group followers will automatically be notified every time a new event is published. So yes, that really helps to retarget your attendees and spend your marketing budget on people that don't know you yet rather than your current community. So you can create your event pages in minutes. So very straightforward. It's a self-service platform. You can just put in your event title, event date and time, and like I mentioned earlier, to set your event as online only. You can customize your ticket categories, state the quantity, create your promo code if you're giving discounts to certain communities, create your Peatix event page. So tips is that when you put your event description in, things to take note is that if you have videos of past events, that'd be great, so that people will know what to expect, because especially on an online event, they don't know what to expect. So make sure you record things during your first online event so that you can share it on the second one, and maybe interview past attendees that have been to your events before, and make sure they give that with their shared experiences. With these shared experiences, it will actually help new other attendees to know what to expect in their next session. So yes, and also things to take note is things to prepare. I've seen a few event organizers out there do not actually state things to prepare up front. They only do it during after they registered. So it's good to also put it out there so that people will know, okay, I need these ingredients, or I need these materials before I attend this event, or it will be delivered to your doorstep. So things like that. So Peatix also have a custom form where you can actually ask questions. So ask questions when you come in. So which also can be downloaded everything into a CSV format. So tips is that create a text field below to allow attendees to input questions they have in mind so that you can cover in the content. For example, what are you looking forward to hearing and learning about? Because in a way, it's not as interactive anymore. So by asking in advance will allow you to craft your content based on the questions attendee have. And when, in a way, if you address that in the very beginning of the event itself, like we will be covering the questions that you guys have stated in the custom form, and attendees tend to stay longer because they are expecting something from it, or expecting you to answer the questions during the session itself. And things like, what are you looking to hearing or learning about? Like I said, the same thing as well. And also, if you are recording, do ask for consent. You can do that in the custom form as well. Yes. So you can customize the event URL or even set password if it's a private event. So as part of Peatix ongoing efforts to support organizers, so we have actually launched this thing called the stream page, where organizers will be able to directly enter the live stream destination URL and show notes when creating event pages. So this information will be displayed on the newly added watch stream page, accessible to only logged in registered attendees. So many times people are like, oh, when will the organizers actually send in the webinar details, right? But now by having this, if you see here, if now attendees will be able to quickly go to their ticket and actually join event, where they don't need to think, oh, when the organizers will send, you know. So they will always be updated here. So we want to create a more seamless online event experience for attendees and organizers as well. One tip we have heard from organizers where they say, hey, how do I avoid attendees from sharing URL? I mean, you can't avoid that, but how Peatix have tried to solve that is that if you can see, there's a button on watch. After they buy a ticket, they will be led to this watch stream page where they will see joint event. So one tip is to actually embed the URL one day or a few hours before the start time. Make sure you include these instructions in your additional notes from the organizer below here, where you say, where you communicate that to them, and that will actually reduce the chances of attendees potentially sharing URL to their non-attendee friends. So because we don't actually share the URL details, so in a way, it's harder for them to get that. If they want to do that, they still can, but in a way, it's harder if you embed it in this button itself. So yes, so that's how we do that. So for organizer dashboard, just quickly go through, you can actually see real-time ticket sales update, analytics of where it's coming from. And like I said, just on the custom form, you can actually go to the attendee list CSV and click on it, and you can download everything in Excel and manage that, or store it as your database. And also, if you want to communicate to attendees itself, you can actually just go to the send message button, where you can straight away send reminders or even send messages, things to prepare, get them to prepare before the event directly on the platform and without going through your own email. So that's that. So for us, once you send a Peatix message to via our platform, we actually send it to their Peatix inbox and also to their email. And the subject will be from your community that looks like it's coming from you as well. So yes. Yeah, so if you want to do like what I do for my events as well, is that I do manual check-ins. For example, now Zoom allow you to go, requires you to have a waiting room to avoid Zoom's like booming, right? So what they do is that they have a waiting room where you actually you can click to allow them in. So what you can do, you can actually search their name from here and match their names and see if that matches, and check people in as well, and together you can allow them entry. And after the event, when you want to send materials to them, you can actually message attendee and filter through those who actually attended it and send them their slides, and not send it to everyone else. So yes, and what I mentioned earlier, that's pretty much it on how to create a Peatix event and how you can use it for your online event. So we have a boost on us where we actually, if you publish your event now until 31st of May, you actually stand a chance to receive a free marketing push worth up to 899 ringgit, which is 6,000 users. So actually yesterday was our 9th anniversary in Peatix itself. So that's why we're offering it to everyone. So take this chance to do that. All right, sorry, just to go back, it's actually, if you want to apply it, so apply now at peatix.co/birthday boost. Okay, and if you're asking about fees for, I just want to cover a little bit about this, where if it's a free ticket, we actually don't charge a single cent. If it's just a RSVP, it's free to use. All our platforms, the Peatix message app, the automated free recommendation is all included. But if you're doing a paid event, because we have to cover payment processing fees, it's a 5% flat fee. I know some other platforms out there that actually charge separate, like their platform fees and also like PayPal fees. We don't do that. It's actually one flat fee. We help you cover everything already. And the ticket sales will come in within 3 to 5 business working days to your local bank account, because we are in a way incorporated in Malaysia as well. So that's that. And also exciting news, which is our fundraising. Actually, if you're looking to do fundraising, we are actually offering you guys 3.5% flat fee, no extra charges, for you to actually help you to get you started in helping the communities as well. So do apply. If you are interested, do go over to services.peatix.com fundraising, and you get to actually you apply, and then we will reach out to you on that as well, on getting the 3.5%. So that's something that we rolled out recently. So yes, after I talk about Peatix, let's go back to the event. The last step is planning for your on-day event. So these are experiences I have, which is make sure you have pre-event IT check for your speakers. So especially for live stream events where you need to pull people up next, right? Consider having a run sheet where you can have, you include like who's on stream right now. So according to the time slot, for example, okay, at 2 o'clock, on stream will be Malcolm and Yilin, and the next one will be Yilin only, you know. And also with that, you can actually manage better. Also include cues. For example, since now online, everything is on the platform, right? It's good to also give cues to speakers, like when I say up next, you get ready and you switch, okay? So cues are important as well. Actions, so when you are actually managing a live stream, it's in a way, I don't want to make it so hard, like to say that it's super hard, but in a way there's so many things happening, and it's you need to multitask in that sense, where you are listening to the speaker's conversation, you're trying to manage the slide next, and you also need to manage the transitions of each speakers, right? So it's good that if you can include like step by step, like, okay, now you add in the slide and remove the banner and what you do next. So step by step, where you can just follow and not think of what you need to add next. So that's a tip. And also transitions, like how do you want to transition? Do you want to add or you want to add a slide? When you have a slide, it's better if you add a speaker in first, or the host in first, before you remove the slide. So the transition looks better than a full screen face and you come back to a 2 screen. So things like this. I think as you try it out, you eventually learn. what works for you, what transition works for you. And also platform walkthrough, especially even tech-savvy people are not familiar with online streaming platforms out there. So it's good to also do platform walkthroughs, allocate a time before the event itself. It's best to do it do a one-to-one session with your speakers and also the panelists itself, so that they get to try out the different platforms, the different features, and how to share their screen, remove the screen, full screen, and all that thing. That is very important. And what I did earlier for Pecha Kucha Petaling Jaya, which I also co-organized at the site, is that I did a video actually to go through every single step where they can actually learn already, make sure they watch it, and I send it via WhatsApp so that it's more accessible. And they look through that before coming into the session so that it would ease my explanation a little bit more on where is the mute button and how do you unmute yourself, things like this. If the Wi-Fi is bad, what do? Remove your video first because your audio takes lesser bandwidth, things like this. And the third one would be dry run. Allocate like many times, like, okay, 30 minutes before the event. That works for offline events, but for online events, in a way, you need more time because you cannot really manage everyone at one time and it's only you. So allocate more than 45 minutes before the start time to do a run through. Like, okay, this is where the run sheet comes into play. On stream, cues, action. So that's for pre-IT check. So that's for pre-IT check. And now to the introduction, how do you set the tone? Like how Malcolm have done it very well. He welcomed us, and like icebreaker where he started with like, where you guys coming from, say hello in the Q&A chat. So things like this, you can engage your attendees even though it's a webinar where we don't hear you at all. So that will help to break the ice and get people to start talking. And then an introduction where you introduce yourself and tell the attendees what you plan to cover, ground rules, especially Q&A sessions after the session and not during. So what to do and what to do when there's a question. And something to take note on your on-day planning is engagement, very much similar to your offline event. Online event engagement is important, but what are the ways? Things to take note is, things you can try is gamification. So reward attendee to interact with others while write questions on chat, give reaction, answer polls. So things like what you can do is like, okay, do more of a collective challenge together. Like if we reach 500 viewers, I will be announcing a giveaway, So things like you get people to do it together collectively. Polling, this is a great way to gauge what information your audience is interested in, their level of expertise, and their current understanding or opinions on the content you are actually sharing. So even reaction, because last time we used to clap our hands when we love it, we snap our fingers when we love it, But now certain platforms allow you to do that. So like for example, Facebook Live reactions, you can get people to put the hearts on the Facebook Live, or even on Zoom, you can actually click reaction on hand clapping, raise their hand. So reaction and filters, it's big right now, right? Filters on Snapchat and also Instagram. Actually, you can have it on your desktop as well, where you can play with filters. Go to camera.snapchat.com. You can also create your own. I created a Peatix branded. Our mascot is actually a Pichan. It's a mascot. I actually did the Pichan eyes as a filter where we can play around and share it around as well. So this is more interactive and help people to like break the ice and start talking together. And also breakout rooms. I really love breakout rooms where, like I mentioned earlier, the hash T-bar, right? Attendees can actually travel to different rooms and experience different things at the same time during the event, or even potentially for theater events like, immersive theater, where audiences can actually travel from room to room to experience different performances. So that's on engagement. So last but not least, attendee follow-up. So it's good to ask for feedback, very much like an offline event. A tip for you is to incentivize your attendee to provide feedback. For example, send them a copy of your slide or materials used after their feedback submission. So you can actually embed the link at the thank you page after the survey submission. So that's something to take note. And if you're familiar with swags, tech events, startup events, or you got it from Malcolm itself, swags is great. But now how do you do it online? We've seen a conference out there who did online branded swag, where they give out phone wallpaper, desktop wallpaper, or even like social media banners out there that they can put and show that they were involved in that. Or also, you can work on with WhatsApp stickers or even Snapchat filters that they can share it around. So yes, so that's for branded swag. So yes, thank you for listening to me for so long, but these are the 4 steps to get started on running your online event. So identifying the type of event, choosing the right platform, promote your online event, and plan your on-day event. So thank you.
So thank you, Yilin. Thank you for your time. All the way from Singapore. Stay safe.
You too, everyone. Everyone to stay safe.
Yeah.